So you know about the hypno glasses?
Now she does.
Well, I'm not saying who he is, just that he wears hypno glasses.
Big spoilers for Superman are ahead. Hey, welcome back to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and we are going to talk about the ending of Superman and that, spoiler, Supergirl scene. And we will explain that massive Kryptonian twist, the Ultraman reveal, how Lex created a Superman clone, and the major differences from the comics. And of course, we will explain that pocket universe and what it means next for the DCU. And there's also the post-credit scenes and what all of this means for Superman's future in this brand new franchise. So let's get into this ending, but first I want to remind you that ScreenCrush is available on all your favorite podcast platforms, and we have some absolutely huge podcast guests coming up, including Arrowverse creator Mark Guggenheim. That's going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe below, and later I'll tell you about all of our merch that we designed for you guys at our merch store.
Hey, Colonel, ya tu Africa. Hey, Colonel, ya tu Icho.
So let's start with the Kryptonians' plot twist. When Jor-El and Lara sent baby Kal-El to Earth, they attached a coded message to his ship. And Jor-El is of course played by Bradley Cooper, who voiced Rocket Raccoon. So Superman only heard the first half, and it's basically the usual inspiring words that Jor-El gives to his son in all of the movies. But the second half changes the context of those inspiring words. So Lex decodes the rest of the message and then shows it to the whole world. And the second half is Jor-El and Lara telling Kal-El to conquer Earth, to take on many wives, and eventually restore Krypton.
Wait, isn't that what Zod wanted in Man of Steel?
No, not quite. Zod wanted to terraform the Earth to turn it into a new Krypton. What Kal-El's parents meant was for him to go procreate with lots of women, and from his babies, a new Krypton would be born. So they want him to spread his seed just like Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy. Now the Kryptonians are not exactly evil, they're more like utilitarians. They see Earthlings as a primitive and inferior race, and with that yellow sun, Kal-El is like a god on Earth. So he has the right to rule this world and its people.
Kneel before Kal-El.
So, after Lex reveals Superman's true purpose, Clark loses faith in who he's meant to be. That first half of the message shaped him as a hero. He believed that his benevolent space parents sent him to Earth for a great destiny, to serve and protect mankind. But all of that was a lie. His great purpose was to conquer and take on many slave wives.
Damn, how many wives you got?
Me? 12, buddy.
His parents want him to betray his very nature and how he was raised by Ma and Pa Kent. So this is a major departure from what we usually get with Superman's biological parents. You know, usually Jor-El and Lara are the only two good Kryptonians. The rest are blind, entitled fools. And then there's Zod and the evil world-conquering baddies. In the comics, the depiction of the Kryptonians always changes based on writers and how many different retcons we're talking about. DC Comics loves their retcons. But the movie's version of Jor-El reminded me a lot of how he was depicted in Smallville. Now, if you never watched the show, in the early seasons, Jor-El wants his son to conquer Earth and rule it, because this is the only way to stop humanity from falling into the same decadence that destroyed Krypton.
They are a flawed race, rule them with strength, my son. That is where your greatness lies. I think I was sent here to conquer.
Anyways, the important part of all of this is that when Lex exposes Jor-El's message, the world turns on Superman. And this is straight out of the great Mark Waid comic, Superman Birthright. Like in the movie, Lex uncovers some new Kryptonian knowledge, and then he weaponizes it by fabricating a Kryptonian invasion. However, this change from the comics is actually brilliant when you think about it. In all the previous movies, Clark always becomes Superman after the hero speech from the recording of Jor-El.
They can be a great people, Kal-El. They wish to be. They only lack the light to show the way.
In time, you will help them accomplish wonders.
And this always undermines the Kents, because it's as if Clark finally understands who he is supposed to be because of a hologram of his dead dad.
Piss off, Ghost!
But this change only reinforces Superman's humanity and pure kindness. He's not special because of where he comes from or because of his powers. He is extraordinary because he's a kind-hearted, loving person. He is an alien immigrant who was adopted by two good people. Ma and Pa Kent raised Clark to believe in basic human kindness. They shaped him into the hero, into Superman, and not some message from his dead biological parents. And unlike most Superman movies, it's Jonathan who gives Clark the hero speech that reminds him of who he truly is.
Your choices, your actions, that's what makes you who you are.
is that it's not about where you came from, but it's who you grow up to be. And it's his love for humanity, specifically Lois, that helps him find his place in the world.
And that's my greatest strength.
Hey, person?
Yeah, buddy?
I just want to do a little manager check-in. Are you feeling better?
Yeah, man, thanks for asking. My anxiety level is a lot lower and my facial tics are getting under control. You guys have probably noticed, like when I get stressed or when I'm anxious, when we're super busy here at the channel, I have these facial tics. Sometimes I blink like one side of my face or I clench my jaw in weird ways. This kind of thing sounds harmless, but this sort of oral fixation habit is actually really destructive. It causes tooth damage, headaches, and also it just looks kind of weird on YouTube videos. So instead, I replaced my facial tics with Fume, the sponsor of this video. And I'm sure you guys have your own bad habits that you would like to quit, especially in social situations where, like me, you feel anxious or you just get bored. For me, Fume has been a game changer. Now, Fume does not use smoke or vapor, just natural flavored air that gives you something to reach for without the chemicals. Studies have shown that quitting a habit cold turkey is actually really bad for you. So I liked having something to reach for when I feel the urge. It's an alternative to harmful habits. Fume is an award-winning flavored air device that does not use combustion, and it's not even electronic. You can use it anywhere. No smoke, no vapor, no chemicals, just natural flavored air. See, it has these plant-based cores that taste great. Now, they have lots of flavors, but they introduced one of my new favorites, mango. It's bolder than past flavors that I've tried, and I recommend it if you want to switch things up. These are all non-toxic flavors and a guilt-free alternative with natural ingredients. But also, you guys know I love the magnetic, fidget-friendly design that makes this incredibly satisfying sound. Guys, more than 500,000 people have already added Fume to their daily routine, and I totally get why. It is simple, satisfying, and doesn't come with any of the downside of your old bad habits. So right now, if you order the Journey Pack using my code ScreenCrush, you will get a free Fume topper. It's this little rubber piece at the end so you can chew on it. It's great for oral fixation anxiety. So if you've been thinking about changing your habits, this is the perfect first step. Go to tryfume.com/ScreenCrush or scan the QR code on screen right now to grab yours today. Now, back to what I was saying. So, Superman regains humanity's trust after saving the world from Lex's unstable pocket universe and Ultraman. And of course, Ultraman is revealed to be a clone of Superman. So, after all the theories, Ultraman isn't an evil Superman from another universe. He's not Parasite, and he's not Henry Cavill under that mask. It's not even Bizarro. Maybe. He is a mindless clone fully controlled by Lex.
Clone?
Someone has cloned Superman, made an exact genetic copy.
So how did Lex clone Superman?
Well, we don't see the cloning process, but Lex explains that he created Ultraman from a strand of Superman's hair. And also, he's revealed to be the Hammer of Baravia, and this is how the hammer kicked Superman's ass in the first fight. And all of this is part of Lex's plan to discredit Superman.
But why does Lex hate Superman so much?
Well, Lex believes himself to be the smartest and most capable human on Earth. But Superman undermines that belief. Humans are obsessed with Superman. Lex even says,
A thing with a cocky grin and a stupid outfit that's somehow become the focal point of the entire world's conversation.
So from his point of view, Superman's existence creates stagnation for humanity's advancements. There's danger in humanity becoming dependent on this intervening god. So Lex sees himself as Prometheus, a man who defies this alien god. By discrediting and eliminating Superman, he is bringing fire back to the human race. Because without Superman, humans will have to once again reach for the stars without the dependency on their caped god. And this is the same reason why he hates other metahumans like the Justice Gang. So his plan was to start a war in Baravia, discredit Superman, and then throw Superman into his prison realm. And there, he forced Metamorpho to create kryptonite to kill Superman.
Wait, how'd that guy create kryptonite?
So Metamorpho can transmute his body into any element, so he can create kryptonite and later even the power of a yellow sun.
The power of the sun in the palm of my hand.
Now, we need to address the changes that Gunn made to Ultraman, because in the comics, Ultraman is very different. He's actually a variant of Kal-El from a different universe called Earth 3.
Oh no, person, don't tell me we're doing the multiverse again.
No, don't worry about that. Ultraman was sent to conquer Earth by his parents, and this might have inspired the movie's version of Jor-El. Now, eventually, he forms an evil Justice League called the Crime Syndicate, and they take over the world. And at some point, they fight the Justice League in the main DC universe. Anyways, other than the name, the DCU's Ultraman has nothing to do with his comic book counterpart. But in the comics, there are multiple Superman clones. The one everybody knows is Bizarro. He is a clone created by Lex Luthor. Sometimes he's a mindless slave who obeys Luthor, like Ultraman in the movie. But he is an imperfect clone, so over time, he deteriorates into this pale-skinned monster.
What am me?
Bizarro, that's what you am.
And he is Superman's opposite, his inverse version, a fractured mirror image, you know, the bizarre version of Superman. Now, I'm actually surprised that Gunn didn't outright just turn Ultraman into Bizarro. I mean, a defective clone with a tragic story. That's right up James Gunn's alley.
What going on? Me am Superman?
In some versions, Bizarro even creates Bizarro World, a planet filled with weirdos just like him. I mean, this writes itself.
Up is down, down is up. He says hello when he leaves, goodbye when he arrives.
Shouldn't he say bad bye?
But there's another important Superman clone, and that is Superboy. He is a genetically engineered clone of Superman to replace Superman after he was killed by Doomsday. But after a retcon, like I said, DC loves their retcons, Superboy's new story is that he was created from the DNA of Superman and Lex Luthor, and eventually he takes on the name of Connor Kent.
I'm glad. Connor Kent. It seems right.
So wait, is Ultraman Bizarro or Superboy?
Well, he's a little bit of both. Superboy is usually a teenager, but he's still an exact copy of Superman, just not evil. Bizarro's, well, he's Bizarro, but he's a lot like Ultraman, except he doesn't deform in the movie. But Ultraman might transform into Bizarro when eventually we see him next. And we're going to talk about that more when we explain the Pocket Universe from the movie. But the change with the Kryptonians is symbolized once again by the contrast between Ultraman and Superman. Ultraman was created from Superman's Kryptonian DNA. So in some really strange way, Superman is Ultraman's biological father, since the clone was created from his DNA.
I am your father.
And that is what Jor-El and Lara wanted, for him to procreate and continue their lineage. But Lex is his creator, making him his dad. Lex raised Ultraman to represent everything that opposes Superman, and possibly become a conqueror for Lex. And this is ironic, but Lex ends up creating the terrifying alien, the one that threatens the world, just like how Jor-El kind of intended him to be. Clark is kind and hopeful, but Ultraman is just a mindless weapon for Luthor. This further shows the importance of who raised you and how they raised you, rather than what DNA is running in your blood. And guys, I am so excited to show you these new shirts that we just launched for our merch store. First, check out the July 2025 shirt showing two rockets passing each other, the Fantastic Four and Kal-El's. And then we have Brian from Family Guy as Crypto, who's a good boy. And for the Fantastic Four, we have this parody of them on Abbey Road, but hey, where's Sue Storm at? And then we have the Fantastic Four as the Jetsons, celebrating the retro future aesthetic of the film, as well as Clobber in Time, Flame On, and this image of The Thing as John Carpenter's The Thing. Right now, we're also running a summer sale, 20% off, and if you become a member, you can earn rewards and get free stuff. I just want to thank you guys so much for your support, and the links for those are below. Now, there is more to say about Ultraman, but this connects to the Pocket Dimension, so first, I need to explain this strange place. Somehow, Lex either found or created this maze-like dimension that he turned into a giant prison, or like we call it, the prison realm.
Oh no, is this the multiverse again?
Well, it's sort of the multiverse. The prison realm appears to be a buffer zone between the DCU and some other universe on the other side. In the comics, pocket dimensions are basically places inside the universe that are hidden in the folds of space-time. The Phantom Zone, for example, is a pocket dimension, an inescapable, self-contained prison dimension that exists parallel to the main universe. Basically, think of it like the Tesseract reality from Interstellar. Now, the movie doesn't reveal if Lex actually created the prison realm or if he invented the tech that allows him to open a portal into this dimension. My guess is the latter, and James Gunn even confirmed that the pocket dimension in the movie is connected to the quantum unfolding chamber tech from Peacemaker. In Season 1, Peacemaker's racist dad somehow has the tech that opens up a door into a pocket dimension in his closet.
How is it so big in this place?
It's a quantum unfolding storage area. It leads to a dimensional nodule outside normal space.
And Gunn also confirmed that Peacemaker Season 2 will focus on that QUC tech. And this might explain how Peacemaker will fight an alternate version of himself. And remember, Peacemaker met the DCEU's Justice League.
Go f another fish, asshole!
I'm so f***ing sick of that rumor.
But he's also part of the DCU, and the QUC might explain all of that. Now, we could actually do a huge deep dive into that, so that is a huge video for another day. Now, in this movie, it's unclear if the pocket dimension is the same as that QUC we saw in Peacemaker, but the tech to open portals to these dimensions might be based on the same concept. And it says so much about Lex that he uses the QUC to build his own private prison dimension, just so he can lock Superman away and anyone else he doesn't like. However, it's clearly stated that this pocket dimension is located between two separate universes, and there's a black hole at the center. So let me quickly explain the multiverse in DC Comics, because this connects to what Gunn might be planning for this pocket dimension. So the multiverse in the comics is structured by many different layers. As you can see in this map, all the alternate Earths are located inside an area called the Orrery of Worlds. So the Orrery of Worlds is filled with alternate universes, but in between them there is a buffer zone called the Bleed. It's the in-between space that exists outside of the universe, and it's likely that Lex's pocket dimension is a version of the Bleed.
So how did Lex get all that tech?
Well, dude, Lex is very smart, so he can definitely create the tech that opens these bridges in space-time. But maybe we don't need to overthink it too much, and this is just the movie's way to establish the world building of the DCU. This is a world where aliens and metahumans and kaiju monsters and space cops with a bowl cut are just the norm. And this is because, as the opening scroll explains, the world has been aware of metahumans for 300 years. So this weird stuff is just part of the daily life in the DCU. And that's why the purple orb thingy in the sky is just another arbitrary threat on a random night in Metropolis.
Hey, Norman Bates. That shit's contagious. We need to know.
It's not.
What is it?
It's an interdimensional virus.
At the end of the movie, Superman and Mr. Terrific close the tears in Metropolis, but Ultraman falls into the pocket universe just as the door is shut. And this could be how Ultraman becomes Bizarro. Maybe his time inside the pocket dimension will slowly deteriorate him because there's no yellow sun. But then, somehow, he will transform the prison realm into Bizarro World.
Explain that.
So, in the comics, Bizarro creates his own pocket dimension called Bizarro World, where everything and everyone is the opposite of regular Earth. Also, Bizarro World is a cube version of Earth, and the prison realm is built from these maze-like cubes. And when the reality collapses, everything becomes floating cubes. So I think you see where we're going with this. The prison realm will transform Ultraman into Bizarro, and eventually he will create Bizarro World inside the pocket universe. And Bizarro World will be populated by deformed weirdos just like himself. So maybe the DCU's Bizarro will encounter others in the prison realm, like other beings from other universes who somehow got lost in the place between realities. Alright, so I know you want to hear about Supergirl, and we will explain her cameo and why she's a drunk in a moment. But first, let's talk about the post-credits scene. To be honest, neither of these scenes is a major tease or anything like we got used to in the MCU. The mid-credits scene is a truly heartwarming scene with Superman and Krypto on the moon. The Superdog was a gift to him by Kara for safekeeping, but Krypto is a menace, and we even see that Clark really doesn't like the dog messing his stuff up.
Stop, Krypto, leave it. Ow, ow, stop. Ow, stop it. Krypto, ow, ow, stop it, stop. Sit, stay.
But Superman learns to care for the space dog. He ends up adopting him and helps Krypto to accept him as a friend, and Krypto becomes a good boy.
Yes, he is a very good boy.
And of course, this is similar to how the Kents took baby Kal-El and helped to raise him to be a good man. And it's just like a sweet culmination of the relationship between a man and his dog. And the post-credit scene is a fun interaction between Superman and Mr. Terrific. They're trying to fix the city after it was almost torn apart. Just so you know, two bros being bros. Now, some of you might be disappointed that these scenes don't have any big cameos or tease the next DCU project. But the thing is, they weren't meant to tease the next project. James Gunn has said in interviews that he doesn't want to follow the MCU structure with post-credit scenes. For Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he was forced to add a tease for Adam Warlock despite not actually having any plans for him at the time. Let's face it, the practice of these tags at the end of movies and shows has sort of lost its charm at this point, especially in the MCU. A lot of the time, these scenes are just made to set up the next project or reveal major characters.
I'm still figuring this place out, but I think a bunch of guys like us should team up. Could do some good.
Intriguing.
And also, sometimes these scenes undo the ending that you just watched. I'm talking about you, Doctor Strange and your stupid evil eye. So all of this means that the post-credit scenes in the DCU won't be about teasing the next projects. Instead, the credits will serve as a nice epilogue to the movie that we just watched. Anyway, the major reveal in the movie is the Supergirl cameo.
So what's up with her? Why has she been drinking?
Alright, well let me explain that. In the ending, Supergirl crashes into the Fortress of Solitude, and she just returned from an off-world bender. So in case you don't know, Supergirl's real name is Kara Zor-El, and she is Superman's cousin. And of course, the next DCU movie is Supergirl. Now Kara and Clark already knew each other, so they met before the start of the film. So this is a different take on the Supergirl from what we usually see in movies and shows. But this isn't James Gunn turning her into Gamora or something like that.
I've spent years in a haze, trying to forget my past.
I was thinking that you drink too much and it probably was going to kill you.
I don't plan to stop drinking.
Oh.
There is a very compelling reason for why she's drunk and why she's kind of depressed. the Supergirl movie will adapt the amazing Woman of Tomorrow story by writer Tom King.
One of my favorite comic book series from last year was Tom King's run on Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. And so we're going to turn that into a big science fiction epic film.
It's basically True Grit in space, and this story also reinvented Kara's origin story. In her traditional origin story, Kara is already a teenager when Krypton is destroyed. However, her ship got stuck in a kryptonite meteor, which made time move slower for her. So, when she arrived on Earth, Clark had already become Superman while she was still a teenager. But in Woman of Tomorrow, this story changes, and this explains why Kara is drunk in the movie. She experienced the death of her people on 3 different occasions. When Krypton was destroyed, some of her people survived in a floating city protected by a force field. But then, kryptonite poisoning killed most of the Kryptonians, including her mother. And then, Kara experiences a 3rd devastation after the city is destroyed by a meteor shower, and with it, the last remnants of Krypton were gone. But she is sent away by her father just before her world ends, like literally. And years later, she is dealing with the immense trauma of all of this. She travels to worlds with red suns because this makes her powerless. And being powerless means that she can get drunk and wash away her grief.
Jeez, that is dark and sad, person.
Oh, but the story itself is a beautiful coming-of-age story about dealing with traumas of the past. Kara helps a young girl called Ruthie to get revenge for her father's murder. So, since James Gunn confirmed that the Supergirl movie will adapt the Woman of Tomorrow, this explains why Supergirl is drunk in the film. Now, in the timeline of the DCU, Kara probably came to Earth just a short while ago. So she is still dealing with all of that trauma. And our theory is that Kara's tragic past is the reason why she did not tell Clark the truth about Krypton. I mean, she was a teenager when Krypton blows up, so she had to know that Kal-El's parents were a bunch of jerks who see us humans as glorified apes. Sure, the message was corrupted, so she couldn't translate it anyways. But I think she knew the real reason, and for all we know, her dad gave her similar instructions.
So how come she didn't tell Clark?
Shame. I think that what she and her family went through humbled their blind entitlement. And Kara is kind of ashamed of how her people used to be in their prime. And she watched her family, planet, and entire civilization wither away. Her movie will be about her overcoming this grief, but in Superman, she is still dealing with all that baggage. And for her, the only escapism is to get drunk and to try her best to forget about her terrible past. And now that she is in a state of denial, it's easier to let Clark believe that Krypton was this great society because that's her way of dealing with this pain. Now, the obvious direction is for Clark to help Kara overcome her trauma. And I think that he will, in a way, help her find her purpose as Supergirl.
So allow me to reintroduce my cousin, Kara Zor-El, or as the world will come to know her, Supergirl.
But the journey of overcoming her grief is something that she's going to have to do in her own standalone movie. And if you didn't know, Jason Momoa will appear in Supergirl, but he is not back as Aquaman. He is playing the main man, the badass space bounty hunter named Lobo. So, if the Supergirl movie will stay faithful to the Woman of Tomorrow while also adding Lobo, I think this movie has the potential to be something really special. But what did you guys think about this movie and the changes they made to the Kryptonians and the DCU's version of Superman and Ultraman and Lex Luthor? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. You can at me on Twitter or Blue Sky Threads or on our free-to-join Discord server, which is like the internet before it was awful. Big shout out to Pavel T, who wrote and edited this video. And let us know what you guys thought of Superman, or if you have any questions down in the comments. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.